Bom dia, boa tarde, boa noite, or whatever the case may be. My name is Marcus, and I am the host of the Black Brazil Today YouTube channel, as well as the blackbraziltoday.com blog, where I analyze Brazil from the perspective of race. So tonight I'm going to take a look at some recent news that I came across. And it has to do with like beauty competitions and what they call Miss competitions. And I know a lot of people look at these contests as, just kind of frivolous, just kind of shallow, superficial. At the same time, you could look at these contests and gauge uh, how a society looks at beauty. Who deserves to have the, I don't know, the adjective beautiful, attached to their name. We know that it took a long time in like the Miss America contest. I remember years ago when Vanessa Williams was crowned the first Black Miss America. What I didn't know at the time, and going back, even though Vanessa Williams won that competition, I know there were a lot of whispers in the Black community, like, well, why did the first Black Miss America have to be so light skinned and with greenish, bluish eyes? And what I didn't realize at that time was that only a few years later, the same thing would happen in Brazil, where a woman be the first Black woman won the Miss Brazil competition. When I looked at Vanessa Williams, it was a question of, okay, so you'll accept a Black woman as long as she's fair skinned. And even that, it's not to say that Black people will ever be 100% accepted in whatever society they are, but when they are accepted in an area, a genre that's associated with physical beauty, it would be a woman who's closer to the white ideal of what's considered beauty by Western standards. So in 1986, Daisy Nunes became the first Black woman in Brazil to win the Miss Brazil competition that had been going on, I think, about at that time about 32 years. She was the first Black woman, and she was fair skinned. All right. So what we see today in Brazil is that these standards remain, although the country continues to, promote this idea that Brazil is nowhere near or does not have the same level of racism that the United States does. But then you find something for everything related to race in the United States that you dig up or you hear on a regular basis, you can pretty much look in Brazil and find something similar going on. So I don't cover Miss competitions because I think they're just, so important. Like this is going to change the world or something. As I said, the whole point of this, of the channel and the blog is analyzing Brazil from the perspective of race. And for as long as Brazilian elites have promoted the idea that they don't have such race problems in Brazil, you have to wonder, why is it that we can do a similar analysis in terms of the lack of Black representation in Brazil as we can in the United States? If you look at many of the statistics that come out of Brazil and you do a comparison between the white and non-white population, we'll say you'll see similar standards in nearly every category, in the same way that you could do this type of analysis in the United States. Um, in general, in both societies, whether you choose to believe that, racial discrimination is something that doesn't exist anymore, or there's good reasons for why there's such, deep racial inequalities, and you believe that those can be explained. And in some cases, I'm not saying that's not true. In some cases, some of these racial inequalities can be proven, but at the same time, see, and this is where it gets problematic discussing this issue, because you have one side on the left saying, look, all of this is due to racist discrimination, right? Then you get people on the other side, on the more conservative, the right side, and they'll say, well, you guys are blowing this out of proportion. Racism isn't that bad of a problem, and you're always playing the victim. What is the truth? I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle. And so that's one of the reasons why I like to analyze Brazil from the racial perspective, because in almost every category, every subject that I talk about, it's like, I find the invisibility of African descendants in numerous categories throughout Brazilian society and throughout history. Things have only started to improve in recent years. No matter where you discuss, no matter what topic you want to talk about, it's like how many black people you see as executives of some of Brazil's top, 500 top companies, in the country. What are statistics of, police murder of Brazilian citizens? What is the difference between when the person is black, when the person is white? You look at somewhere like sports, particularly in a soccer dominated country like Brazil, and you say, okay, well, some of the top soccer players in the world that come out of Brazil are black, or if you prefer brown, black and brown. But then you look at the head coaches, and you find that black coaches don't get the same fair shake in like Division A top soccer teams and leagues in Brazil. I mean, it goes on and on. I just, how many, I remember some years ago, there was a movement where people were talking about how come you go to a store, you can't find any black dolls, for black girls who want to play with black dolls. Why do you find so few black senators in Brazil? I mean, no matter where you go, if this inequality exists in the United States, you can find something similar going on in Brazil. And no matter how you slice it, you're always going to have one side where we still need to continue to push for equality because everything is based on race. And then you're going to have the other side who calls those pushing for these changes. In Brazil, they call them vitimista. They say people who are playing a race card, you're playing the victim role. And as I said, I like to present articles like the one that I'm doing today, because the question is, if you don't have this race problem, then why is it that the woman featured in today's piece is only the third black woman to win the Miss Minas Gerais competition in the state's history? So let's get directly into this story for today. Isalu Souza elected Miss Universe in Brazil's state of Minas Gerais. She's the third black woman to win in the state's history. So these competitions, when you look at these competitions, I think Brazil has 26 states and a federal district. Every year, you're going to have a competition in each one of those states to find a representative of that particular state in the Miss Brazil, the Miss Brazil Universe competition. So then, Miss Brazil competition, as far as I know, goes back to at least 1954. And there's been 3 black women who have won that title. And what is that? Almost 70 years now. In Minas Gerais, which has a similar history going back to the 50s, you'll find that this is the third black woman to win in that state's history to go on and represent the state of Minas Gerais in the overall Miss competition. So let's get into this story, because there's a lot of links that I want to include in my analysis here. So this is the winner. Isalu Souza was elected Miss Universe in Brazil's state of Minas Gerais, third black woman to win in the state's history. This is information comes from 2 newspapers websites, Estado de Minas and O Tempo. So this is the winner of the contest, Isalu Souza. All right. The model and student of journalism, Isadora Lucia de Souza Silva, or simply known as Isalu Souza, from the historic city of Ouro Preto, in the central region of the state of Minas Gerais, was elected Miss Universe Minas Gerais last Sunday, the 30th. Isalu, who is 21, she was one of 33 contestants in that contest. It mentioned the city of Ouro Preto, which is a gorgeous city. I've been there. It's a historic city. A long history going in Ouro Preto. It's if you're ever in Minas, it's a city you definitely want to visit. It's one of those cities that's recognized by UNESCO as having historic importance, in the country. Okay. You have a lot of if you're a traveler, if you go to Brazil and you end up in Minas, definitely Ouro Preto, which means black gold. Here it is. It's represented by UNESCO, honored or recognized by UNESCO as one of the most important historic cities in Brazil. The state of Minas Gerais, in fact, is one of the country's most important states. If I'm not mistaken, it is the second most populous state in Brazil. The capital city of Minas is called Belo Horizonte. Belo Horizonte is like the sixth largest city in the country, and it has the third largest metropolitan area in the country, behind Sao Paulo and Rio. I've always said I love Belo Horizonte. It's one of those cities that's kind of if Sao Paulo and Rio are too much for you, Belo Horizonte is a city to visit. It's in some ways I wouldn't. I'm not comparing it to Chicago, but it's a city that has a lot of things, but it's not as big as the enormous cities like Sao Paulo or Rio de Janeiro. You could have a lot of fun in Belo Horizonte. It's one of my favorite cities there. I know some people in Minas, so one of these days I hope to get back to the state. Anyway, coming in and second and third place were Maria Eduarda Lima, who was Miss Itabira, and Laura Andrade, Miss Juiz de Fora, respectively. Now, both of these are cities in Minas Gerais, Itabira and Juiz de Fora. Another picture of the winner, definitely an attractive young woman here from the city of Ouro Preto. According to the newspaper O Tempo, Isalu had requested financial help on social networks to participate in the contest in February of this year. The contest took place in the city of Juiz de Fora in the Zona da Mata region of Minas Gerais and had 33 contestants or candidates. The candidates went through several evaluations, such as interviews and parades, with criteria such as beauty, friendliness, elegance, and posture. On Sunday night, the 30th, the final stage was held, and throughout the night, the contest eliminated various participants. So this is the young lady Isalu being crowned as Miss Minas Gerais. Initially, the top 20 was defined, moving on to the top 10, in which the candidates had to parade in swimsuits, and then after that, gala gowns. The favorite in the contest, Gabriela Botelho from Minas Gerais, the capital city, didn't advance to the next stage. In the top 5, the misses answered some questions judged for oratory knowledge until the top 3 was defined between Isalu Souza, Maria Eduarda, and Laura Andrade. Finally, the candidate from Ouro Preto, Isalu Souza, was the one who took the crown, named after Chica da Silva, 1732 to 1796, one of the great personalities of Brazil in the colonial period. I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. So this picture here is taken from the official Miss Universe Minas Gerais Instagram page, and they gave her congratulations on her winning this title. You'll notice the first comment that comes in here is from Erika Januza. She says, marvelous and congratulations. Erika Januza is a popular actress. She's known for appearing in a number of global, the top TV network in Brazil is called Rede Global. And Erika Januza is a well-known actress that's appeared on a number of novellas on that TV channel. And Erika Januza is actually from the state of Minas Gerais. I think she's from a city called Contagem, if I'm not mistaken. So she weighed in to offer congratulations to the girl who was crowned in her state. Anyway, now with the victory, Isalu used social media to celebrate her crown. This is her speaking, and she says, I won Miss Universe Minas Gerais. Today, I carry with me Chica da Silva, who taught me that our skin is gold. So grateful for this achievement, still without words to explain such emotions. Gratitude to each one of you who supported me in this beautiful trajectory, she wrote on Instagram stories. So again, the Miss Minas competition, the winner is, well, I guess the competition is named after Chica da Silva. A couple of articles I have on the blog that will talk a little bit about Chica da Silva, who was a Black woman who was enslaved in 18th century Brazil, and she went from slave to elite based on her relationship with this rich diamond contractor, João Fernandes de Oliveira, and she had 13 children with him. So she went from being a slave to part of the state's elites because of her connection to this, this diamond miner, right? There have been films and television series about Chica da Silva, most famously played by Zeze Mota, longtime actress. Zeze Mota should be somewhere about 79 years old by now. This is just a scene from that film. I think it's from 1976. All right. Uh, I did a video recently talking about the remake in a novella where this woman, Isalu Souza, actually took on the title character in the Chica da Silva remake from 1996, and her mother was actually played by the original actress Zeze Mota in that novella. So this is Zeze Mota and Thais Araújo in the remake in the novella of Chica da Silva in 1996. Intriguing story that it's just that's a very important story in Brazilian history. Let me see here. I wanted to thank every single person who believed in me when I didn't believe in myself, said Isalu after receiving the victory sash and crown. No, that's a great picture there. It's worth mentioning that she also carries a great representation with the victory. Isalu is the second natural candidate of Ouro Preto to win the Miss Universe Minas Gerais after Rafaela Tinchi Borja in 2003. Besides that, she is also only the third Black woman to receive the state title, which was already been won. Already had two Black women who had won the competition: Alessandra Nascimento and Karim Porfido in 2014. Let me see here because I think I covered that story. This is from 2014, so this is the winner of the Miss Minas Gerais competition that particular year. Representative of the city of Miss Timóteo is elected Miss Minas Gerais 2014. Looks like it was broadcast on Bandeirantes television, and she went on to represent Minas Gerais in the Miss Brazil competition. Now, this is the point that I'm making here for everybody who wants to say, well, we don't have those race problems in Brazil. But one of the main problems that you'll find is that, well, in a state like Minas Gerais that has a large Black population, how do you explain that most of the women, these are 2014 contestants of the Miss Minas Gerais competition. How do you explain that most of these women either look white or on the whiter side of the mixed look? This is something that you consistently see across the country. You see women, no matter what state that they're from, and there'll be overwhelmingly white women represented in these competitions. So it's for people who refuse to acknowledge that skin color and phenotype can be something that could hold somebody back. How do you explain something like this? To go even further, you look at the wiki page from the Miss Minas Gerais competition, and let's consider if the current winner, Isalu, is the third Black woman to win the Miss Minas Gerais competition. We have to take a look and say, okay, well, how far back does the Miss Minas Gerais competition goes? And as you can see, it goes back to 1955. So again, similar to the Miss Brazil overall competition for the whole country, the Miss Minas Gerais competition goes all the way back to 1955, which means this is almost a 70-year competition. And you've only had three Black women win this competition. Vencedores means the winners. These are all the winners. You see her name here. She was just crowned Isadora Lucia Isalu Souza from Ouro Preto. So she became the third woman in almost 70 years to win the Miss Minas Gerais competition. No small task, but consider also, as I just mentioned, this is an article from the Estado de Minas Gerais newspaper. And it says here the number of mineiros. Now, mineiros are people who are from the state of Minas Gerais. They call them mineiros. And so it says that the number of mineiros who declare themselves Black or brown has grown 10%. So in 2004, 48% of people from Minas declared themselves white, and 51.6 were either preto or pardo, meaning Black, brown, or mixed. 10 years later, the numbers have reached 42.5% for the white population and 56.9% for the combination of pretos and pardos. All right. So again, this is what my point is. This article is from 2015, and it's showing that the state of Minas has a very large Black and brown population. So again, how do you explain the whiteness of so many of the contestants in this competition? We look at okay, here's this is another story talking about the winner of this recent Minas Gerais competition. The journalism student will represent Ouro Preto in the Miss Minas Gerais 2023. So here, check out the 32 candidates right here. So this is Miss Ouro Preto, and she went on to win the competition. But then these are all of the women that she competed against. There were 33 women in the competition. And you take a look at these photos and you tell me, what do you see? I mean, I see a lot of women who, for the most part, look white. You could see maybe a black woman here. But if we continue to go down this screen, we see mostly women who would probably be considered white anywhere in the world. Here's the eventual winner from Ouro Preto, Isalu Souza, who I'm talking about today. I see a black woman here. Again, what do you see? See another black woman here from the city of Sabará. So all of these cities are from Minas Gerais. There's a city called Sacramento, or Sacramento, as we would say in California. There's also a Sacramento in Minas Gerais. But just look at the faces, okay? This woman might be considered black. This woman is clearly black. But how many did you count there? I lost track. I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 of these women could be considered black. So this is what I'm saying. These underrepresentation of black women in these competitions. I think I have another one here. This is from the official Miss Universe Minas Gerais Instagram page. And as you can see, these are some of this is what the women look like. You take a look and you can look and just say, well, how many of these women do you consider to be black? There's a few, like I said, there may be 5 or 6, but there's 33 competitors in this competition, all of them from various cities of Minas Gerais. So how do you explain that in a place where you say, well, we don't discriminate according to color? Well, okay. Well, what's with this vast inequality of representation? Most of these women, fit the European standard. Now, this isn't the only time. As I said, you can replicate these numbers, these ratios in other states. As a matter of fact, some years ago, let me see if I can find this article here. Where was it here? Okay, here. This particular article I posted from 2013. This is from the state of Bahia. Now, Bahia is known for having a large black, or if you prefer, black and brown population. And this was a controversy that happened in 2013. It says, after controversy over lack of ethnic representation, a black woman is crowned Miss Bahia in 2013. The protest highlight the contradiction of race. So what happened here? So keep in mind, this is the winner. Priscila Cidreira Santiago was elected Miss Bahia in 2013. The point here was that even in the Northwest, in the Northeast, in a state like Bahia that's known for being the country's center of black culture and having a large black population, again, black and brown if you prefer, but people in Bahia tend to be a little darker. This is like a major state with a large black population. And so, but, just as I just highlighted with the competition in Minas Gerais, you look at the controversy that came about in 2013 was when this picture was released featuring 30 candidates for the Miss Bahia Miss competition. Most of these women look either white or like off-white or just, maybe Latina, but it was just very few clearly black women in this competition. So it was almost like because of the fuss that was caused. So this is the girl who went on to actually win the competition. But it was almost like the pressure. I'm trying to figure out if the pressure and the controversy actually led to this woman winning this competition, because in a state like Bahia, where you got so many black people, you didn't see that representation among all of those contestants. And this is what some of the headlines were saying, like, where are the pretty black women from Bahia? Right. Here, a website points out that there are only 2 quote unquote mulattas in the picture. Right. And it's funny how they use mulatta in Brazil, because mulatta, it doesn't, a lot of American, when we hear the word mulatto, we think of a fair skinned woman that looks like she's just on the cusp of white or she's passing. Whereas in Brazil, a mulatto can have very brown skin. But this is what the controversy was all about. It says in the photo, among 30 candidates, only 2 are black women, and they're even a little bit hidden all the way back in the back. So how do you explain this? These are just some of the pictures of some of the women from that particular contest from 2013. Again, I asked the question. So how many just clearly black women do you see in these pictures? Okay. I think it's more than two. You might have four or five here, but out of 30 women in the state of Bahia, that makes no sense. So the question would be for people who, oh, you're a victimista, you're playing the victim again. I'm just okay. How do you explain this? These are 30 women from various cities across the state of Bahia, in a state that has a large. You go to Bahia and you're going to see a lot of dark skinned people. You got the spectrum of blackness in Bahia, from the darkest black to, the lightest black to everything in between. But yet most of the women here look like they're just not quite black. Some of them you might even consider Latina, slightly mixed or whatever. But for the most part, you see white skin prevails in this competition for 2013. So this is something that you see going over and over in like beauty contest in Brazil, whatever state that you're in. This is just I did a search in my own blog, with the words Miss Brazil. And up until 2016, so 1954 to 2015, that's like what, 60 years. There was only the one black woman who had ever won that contest, and that was in, what year was that? It was in 1986. In the midst of so many blondes, a black woman wins. Daisy Nunes, the first and only black woman up to that point to ever win the Miss Brazil pageant. So this is Daisy Nunes. She was celebrated for many years, and she just explained the hatred she got for winning that competition. And she's from the state of Rio Grande do Sul, which is a vastly white state. Though Rio Grande do Sul is one of the three southern states in Brazil that's considered like the European section of Brazil, because 80% of the people in those three states are considered consider themselves white. So how is it that you get a black woman from southern Brazil, and she goes on to win the Miss Brazil competition in 1986, which is what the point is. Up until that point, 40 years, 30 years, 32 years of the competition at that point, and she was the first black woman to win a competition. And as you can see, she's on the fairer skinned side. This was a more recent picture of her back in 2011 or 12. Again, more pictures. This woman would clearly be black in the United States, but in Brazil, they consider her a mulatto, whatever. It says here, Daisy Nunes, Miss Brazil 86, the dream of the Black Cinderella. Okay. Um, in the interview, they actually asked her if she was familiar with what happened in 1977 when Apollonice, Miss Passafundo, I'm assuming that's a city in Rio Grande do Sul, she was prevented from being crowned Miss Rio Grande do Sul because she was black. And that's this story here. What is it? Apollonice Lima, the would-be winner of a 1977 beauty contest in southern Brazil, judge denied her victory because she was black. So this is not supposed to happen in Brazil, but as you can see, it's pretty common that black people are pushed to the back when they're competing against white people, right? Let me see what else we have that I can go over here. Again, these are just some of the stories that I posted about how these Miss competitions go down in Brazil. In 2016, it was really intriguing because it seemed like with all of the organizing that Black Brazilian women were doing and pushing for equality, it seemed like in 2016 they really wanted to present a Black woman as the winner of that competition, because I followed that story as each state was having this competition. I think 6 Black women that year represented a different state in Brazil. It was like the most ever out of the 26 states in the federal district to ever go on to the Miss Brazil competition. And in 2016, this woman, Raiza Santana, won that competition. Let me see. She was only the 3rd Black woman to have earned the crown in a 64-year period, because it was funny. 2016 and then 2017, another Black woman, like 2 years in a row, they won the competition. This woman, some people would say, well, she's a little bit on the mixed side. This is actually her here, Mona Lisa Alcantara, or rather. This is the woman who won in 2017. This is the woman that won in 2016. Miss Brazil 2017 and Brazilians' difficulty in accepting the beauty that represents it. For the second year in a row, a Black woman is crowned Miss Brazil. So, okay, and this is what I was just talking about. For the first time in its history, Miss Brazil contest will have 6 Black women competing for the title. That was in 2016, with the eventual winner being Raiza Santana, the second Black woman to be crowned in Brazil. She is only the second Black winner in 62 years up to that point in 2016. So you want to gauge how Brazil looks at things. These are some of the things that you look at. You know, people, it's like until you present them with these statistics, and when you present these statistics, people have to, they get silent. It's like, okay, you think Brazil doesn't have these race problems, but how do you, like, no matter what topic you look at, you see this underrepresentation of the Black population, and it's no different in the Miss competitions. So I think that's everything I wanted to talk about in today's particular piece. In the future, I would probably be doing more on some of these beauty competitions. It's always the same thing. And I said back in 2016 and 17, like, okay, so a Black woman won, and then a Black woman won the second straight years. Like, okay, so 3 Black women in like 64 years. Don't count on this being a permanent change, because it's going to go back to the white standard immediately, which it has done since then. Unbelievable. That was already 7 years ago that Raiza Santana won the competition. So I think that's all I wanted to bring. No, okay, let me go back. This is obviously the winner here. As she was, I think this was probably the moment before she was actually crowned. Let me see. The profile of the contest recognized the merit for the crown. Okay, so this is from the Miss Universe Minas Gerais IG page. It says the new Miss Universe Minas Gerais is Isalu. Her coronation is more than deserved, and she will continue to be an example of strength and inspiration to many people. May your trajectory be even brighter, and may you always move on, achieving everything you want. Congratulations, Miss. You are a true queen, they wrote, or that's what was posted on the official IG page. Now Isalu can go further and will participate in the Miss Universe Brazil. If she also wins this stage, she should represent Brazil in the international contest, the 72nd edition of Miss Universe. Okay. Let's see. She will participate in Miss Universe Brazil. She will join the Miss Paraná, another state in Brazil, Paraná being another one of those states in the south of the country. I just mentioned those three states that are considered the European side of Brazil. The Miss Paraná, who has already been crowned. Another 24 misses will be crowned by Brazilian states and will compete in the national competition. If she is elected, she will be the representative of Brazil in the Miss Universe, and there are no dates for the contest yet. So congratulations to Isalu. All right. Pretty girl. Only the 3rd Black woman to ever win the Miss Minas Gerais competition, coming from the historic city of Ouro Preto. All right. So that's again, it's a beauty contest. It's a Miss competition, but if you just analyze it from the perspective of race, it says so much more than the woman winning the competition. It begs the question, there's no racial discrimination in Brazil, but yet she's only the 3rd woman to win this competition in over 60, almost 70 years of the competition. What say you? Anyway, I'm gonna end this video here. Be curious to know what you thought about this article. For those people out there who continue to say that, this channel, oh, this is another Vitimista channel, this is another channel that's playing the victim. I'm willing to look at both sides, but if I'm playing the victim in this particular piece, explain to me how this is only the 3rd Black woman to win in this competition since 1955. Explain that. Curious to see how that's playing the victim. Anyway, definitely want to hear your comments on this video. Consider, sharing this video, subscribing to the channel if you watch more than a couple of videos. Click on the notification bell so that you'll be one of the first to get my videos when I put up new ones. And with that said, I'm going to end the video here and hope to see you come along to watch the next.